actually very important and absolutely huge compared to anything that's been happening before. So any talk about AI feels like just scratching the surface, and I might be getting carried away in some points. So if I do that, hopefully Alexa or other guys on my team can just keep us on topic. But anyway, so after this introduction, we will move into actual platform, and what we're going to be doing, we will be building different agents for different use cases. And this way, we'll be able to get an initial idea of what agents are, how to build them using Integrail, and then hopefully after we are done, you will be able to try it for yourself and unleash your creativity in terms of what you want to create in terms of AI agents, and we'll build this platform together. So in terms of the agenda, it's on the screen. We'll roughly follow it. Basically, what we're going to be doing, as I mentioned, we're going to be building agents of increasing complexity. And also some of the use cases that we're going to be covering mentioned on the screen, but of course we will discuss much more in depth as we go in the actual presentation. So who stands behind Integrail? It's Ratmir Timoshev and myself, Anton Antic. We already worked together building Vim. Ratmir was a founder of Vim, and I was one of the early joiners, and was his right hand helping drive strategic operations. And that was an amazing run. I think many of you heard about Vim. It grew from 0 to 1 billion in revenue in under 10 years. It was the fastest growing IT company in Europe. And then Ratmir sold it to Insight Venture Partners for $5 billion several years ago. And since he has time on his hands, we started doing a couple of other projects together, and then we were following the AI trend. We had lots of discussions in terms of what can be done, and that's where the idea for Integrail came from. And the idea, again, just to give you some more context, and if you've been following the AI space, you probably know that there are some big players such as OpenAI and Google and Meta who are creating foundational models. And then there are lots and lots of startups who are building something on top of those models, but the majority of those startups are one scenario companies. So they take a certain scenario, a certain workflow, a certain job, and they try to automate it using AI. And we were kind of greedy in a sense. And for me, building just one scenario always feels like limiting and boring. So we wanted to have something that will allow not just us, but everyone to unleash their creativity in terms of what kind of AI agents, what kind of scenarios you might want to create, you might want to automate. And that's where the idea for Integrail came from, and that's what we've been building so far. So on the state of AI, as I mentioned, because it's a very interesting development. I've been following AI sort of on and on pretty much all my life. I'm a physics major, so I enjoy research always. And if you've been following the topic as well, you know that there was a pretty big wave with computer vision about 10 or so years ago when people started talking about self-driving cars quite a lot. Then we had a very nice advance with deep reinforcement learning, where people have created AI that was able to beat humans in Go and chess, which seemed quite impossible for a long time. And then finally, there was sort of a third wave of AI on a lifetime, where these chatbots were created, or with the correct name, it's the LLM, so large language models. And this is the era we live in. And also what we observe right now is that people have split into roughly two different categories. There are AI skeptics who have tried ChatGPT or similar tools, and they think, yeah, it's a cute toy and it can talk to me or maybe help me create an Instagram post once in a while, but it hallucinates, it cannot really solve mathematical problems, and it cannot really do anything for me. So what can I do? And people have kind of been disillusioned. On the other hand, there are a bunch of people who are sort of very much into expecting AGI. They are saying, okay, OpenAI and Google, they will create superhuman intelligence and it will solve all of humanity's problems, or maybe with some risk of enslaving humanity, depending on who you talk to. But basically, the idea from that camp is that you don't need to really worry. You just need to wait for this superhuman intelligence, and only then you can do something. But we strongly believe that we actually live in the golden middle. And with the current level of technology, using the LLMs that we have right now, and using the tools that we have right now, we are able to create lots and lots of specialized AI agents that are able to make our lives and our jobs much more easier, or at least much more enjoyable. And I really like how I sort of stole the motto from one of our early customers, where the CEO told to all of his employees, saying, guys, if you do something, if you do a certain process or a certain job more than twice, you have to be really pissed off about it. And you have to start thinking, how do I outsource it to AI? And I really love it because, I cannot think of a single process I have seen in corporations, companies, or even in life as it connects to working online, that cannot be outsourced to an AI agent that we can create right now. But what we lack is tools to experiment and do it easily. Because of course, you can take Python code, you can, if you know how to program, you can find a programmer, you can fine tune the LLMs, you can connect, you can write some software, but it takes too long. So what we need is a platform that allows us to create those agents much faster. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with Integrail. So we are focusing on agentic AI. The goal of Integrail is to create AI agents very fast and very easily, visually, and then build the teams of those agents that will work together and are able to solve your problems, be it corporate problems, be it different workflows, or be it your personal problems, which you would want to outsource and focus on more creative parts of your job or of your life. So also interestingly, on this slide, I borrowed this picture from OpenAI presentation where they discuss different levels of AI. So they recently released the new model, as you have probably seen, called O1, which they claim is kind of on the level 2 or close to the level 2. So this is a further development of ChatGPT that includes some internal additional reasoning, which makes this model more advanced in terms of how to address different problems. By the way, it is available on Integrail, so you can play with it even now, even though it's currently in a limited preview, but we are giving the access to it. But then, what are the other levels? Level 3 is agents, systems that can take actions. And this is exactly what Integrail is about. So it was actually very surprising to see sort of this classification for us, because we are already at level 3 by OpenAI definition. Yes, to create brains for such agents, you need to combine different LLMs and make sure they work together. And there is some art and science to that. But nevertheless, agents that can take actions is our focus. So not just chatbots that talk to you, but agents that can do something for you. They can read your email, or they can analyze your sales pipeline, then can make certain decisions about that, and then they can create a draft email response, or they can update your CRM for you, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, the agents that actually do things, not just consume information and produce new information. So that's what Integrail is about. And then level 5 is agents that can do the work of a whole organization. This is quite interesting, and I kind of put it in the dotted line here, but this is something where we're also free to experiment using Integrail. Because if you create a team of agents where every agent does a certain job quite well, this is basically an organization. So once again, we're kind of skipping the level, because innovators is a very interesting topic in itself. We are not really focusing there because it has to do more with research. But in terms of business, in terms of automating business processes and human life, I would say that using Integrail, we can address level 3 and level 5 pretty much today. All right, so I said a lot of words already. This is the foundation for Integrail and the idea behind Integrail. So let's just move to the architecture right away. This is what we have. So in the middle is the actual product. So we have a no-code visual editor, which we will take a look at quite soon. We have built-in vector memory support, which is absolutely key if you want to create anything useful. We have benchmarking tool. That's an integral part of ensuring that your agents provide the quality that you need. We will take a look at it. And we also have Integrail Cloud. So we literally have one-click deploy of your agents into the cloud. And once you do that, you are able to use them in any way you like. Then, using all this, we integrate all kinds of different LLMs and other generative AI models. Any business applications, we are constantly expanding the list of applications with which we integrate out of box, but also we have a so-called universal API node, which allows you to integrate with any system that has an API. And then, of course, support for RAG using vector memory and other tools. So this is something where we are building the agents. Then in terms of accessing the agents, there is, of course, a custom API, custom UI that you can build using the API. We have an SDK for that. We will be releasing it shortly to the public. So once you deploy an agent, you can use that SDK to create any kind of UI on top of those agents. Then we have a built-in chatbot interface on the web with which you can talk to these agents. And then in the works is the mobile Discord and Chrome plugin, which will further allow you to talk to the agents you have created from different other UIs. And then using all that, once you have created your teams of agents, you can solve, as mentioned, pretty much any scenario. The more or the most popular, I would say currently, at least from what we see, and sometimes they're probably even becoming kind of boring, is customer support chatbot. Very easy to create, very good performance if you use RAG. Content creation, all kinds of content, blog posts, articles, Instagram posts, etc., again, based on your company's tone of voice and on your company's materials. Software engineering, really amazing results. Again, using RAG techniques, they can write very good code. And there are also some cool experiments, which I will share in the end, that can make it even more productive. And things like automating sales processes, predicting forecast, or adding new leads, employee onboarding or hiring, etc. But once again, the way I like to formulate it is what I just recently said. Basically, if you do something twice or more and you get bored or you don't like doing that, you have to think how to outsource it to AI, because any repetitive online task can be turned into an agent. Right. And then this is another marketing diagram that we use for Integrail. It's basically 4 easy steps with which we use to design our agents, and that we will follow during the demos. Is design, where you have to think about your business process. You have to think what kind of nodes you will need to build your agents. Then you integrate with external systems to get the data or to make certain changes to the data. Then you can optimize by choosing the best LLMs that are cost efficient to perform your tasks. And once again, then you can deploy. In terms of deploy options, yes, we have one-click deploy to our cloud, but for enterprise, for larger customers that have high security requirements, we can do anything up to on-prem deployment. Now, of course, it's a bit more hassle. It's not one click, but it is possible as well. Okay, so let's move to a more practical part. So first of all, let's spend a bit more time on what is an agent in our LLM-based world. The best way to think about an agent is as about a human being, because we are agents as well. We have sensors, which is our eyes and ears and other senses with which we perceive the world. We have brain to process the input from the sensors and to do thinking and reasoning. We have memory, both long-term and short-term, just as the agents that we're going to be creating do. And then we have what we call actuators, which is basically hands, mouth, feet, whatever, something with which you can change the environment. So we can build a house with our hands, and our agents using the actuators, they can update the CRM system, or they can send an email, etc. So basically, it's the best and easiest analogy. And this is what we're going to be building today. Gradually, we will start with a much simpler version of this, but eventually we will discuss sensors, we will discuss actuators, we'll discuss brains, we'll discuss types of memory, and we'll discuss different skills as well. And Alexa mentioned that we already had a couple of pre-launch events. I think there is quite a bit of confusion of what agents are, and the industry is still kind of converging on the lingo that we're going to be using. But sometimes a very popular, I would say, mistake of sorts is people think about agents as software. And these are sort of the questions that we got a couple times from our customers, like, okay, I create the agent, this is software, but then how do I update it? There are breaking changes, it's rigid, etc. So it's the wrong way to think about agents. Actually, much better way to think about agents is as about people, as about your employees. And humans are much more flexible. And the same with agents. Thanks to LLMs, they can work with unstructured information very well. So things like APIs being updated or systems being changed does not really influence their performance that much. Of course, some fine-tuning may be required, but they're much more flexible than just rigid software. All right. So just for the sake of getting familiar with the system, let's look at the simplest possible agent. The simplest possible agent without any skills, without any interacting with the environment except for the user. There is user input, there is some processing, and then there is user output. So let's build this simple agent using Integrail Studio and get us familiar with the studio itself. So a couple of words about the product. As many people said, we have been building it up to now, and we are very excited about releasing it, and we want to build it together with you. And we do believe in the early release often philosophy. So if there are some glitches or things you want to improve, we would much rather develop it further with you than try to create something perfect which nobody's going to use. So in that vein, I would encourage all of you, once you register, to go onto the support tab and join our Discord channel, because that's currently our primary means of interacting with the community. We do want to build a big community of builders. And not just that, but we will also be providing what we call an AI university for free to everyone, because it's still a very deep topic, how to build agents for the different tasks and different types of agents. So we want to have a community that creates ideas, with whom we share ideas and with whom we're basically building this product together. So please join it. That's the primary means now, as I mentioned. Eventually, we will be adding more and more things. Like, of course, we are thinking, and we will be adding a chat bot here that will interact with you about the tool itself, and with which you will be able to discuss bugs, improvements, etc. But we're not there yet. So the best connection is this Discord channel. So once you go to the main page, we will have a bunch of featured agents. So right after this talk is finished, we will be updating our production systems to put the latest changes, including about 20 featured agents with whom you can both chat to check out how they perform, or you can copy them and they will become part of your agent library, and you can start building your agents based on the agents that we have provided for you. And this is also one of the best ways to learn, is just to start building something from templates. I'm sorry, just 1 second. I need to let the cat out, otherwise it will be noisy. All right, I'm back. Okay, so this is the starting page, and then you will see your agents below as well. The main part of the studio where we will be spending most of the time is Agent Studio and then Design Agents tab. And this is where we are spending most of our time. So let's just, again, build an agent from scratch to see how easy it is. Normally, when you click a new agent, you will get a template like this. But let's just delete this and then build it completely from scratch. So this almost fully repeats the picture that we have seen in the presentation. We have inputs and we have outputs. Then here on the left, we have a node library. So node library is quite extensive and we're expanding it pretty much daily. It has different nodes that allow you to do different things. There are things connected to vector memory, which we will discuss shortly. There are all kinds of LLMs and the chat history for these LLM agents. There are different image manipulations, text to image, image to text, manipulations such as resizing, etc. There are experimenting image to video models, 3D object creation models, text to speech, and then a bunch of different external integrations. But once again, our sort of key development for the future, our short-term roadmap, is what we call a generic API node, which allows you to connect to any API and with semi-automatic creation if it has documentation. So you can experiment with all these nodes, but then for us to create the simplest possible agent, we just take a node that's called LLM Simple, we click on it, and then by simple drag and drop, we just connect user prompt to user prompt and then output to output. That's it. That's the basic agent that we can create. Here on the right, you also see different settings for the node itself. Different nodes have different settings. So here you can pick a model that you want to use. We have a bunch of models from all the primary vendors, as we have mentioned. And you are free to change them any way you like. But this is kind of too boring. It's just an LLM processing an input. So let's make it a little bit more interesting and add a node that also does text to speech. So let's find it. Here it is. Once again, we simply drag and drop. We connect output to input. We click on this node. We pick a voice, and then we connect output to agent outputs. That's it. We have updated our agent with the ability to generate voice in just 10 seconds. So let's save it. Let's just call it simple voice agent. Then save it. Then what you can do, you can test this agent right here in the studio. You can put something into the user prompt by clicking on agent inputs. It says what is 2 + 2 by 2. Okay, let's just run it by pressing the button run. So as you can see, it shows you the status, it shows you how much time it takes, and then it shows when the next node starts working, and then you can see here's the result, and here is the audio result as well. But this is mostly useful when you are working on an agent to fine-tune it, to fix bugs, etc. Of course, to interact with an agent, it's much more convenient to use other means. And as mentioned, you can deploy it to the cloud, or you can use what we call chat with agents. That's the second link here on top. We can pick our agents that we have just created, simple voice agent. And we see the results here already. We can play them.
To solve the expression 2 + 2 × 2, 1, first perform the operation inside the parentheses, 2 + 2 = 4.
So basically, again, in 20 seconds, we have created an agent that reacts to our input, creates output, and then also creates a voice response for you. And
Anton,
here,
maybe a quick question here.
yeah,
Can you just explain how do we deploy these agents? I guess most people will care about once you build it quickly, how can you actually deploy it?
right. Let's take a quick look at it. It's actually the easiest way to do that. It's literally one button click. This is our agents. Here's the button deploy to cloud. We press it. Then you have to confirm. That's it. It will be deployed to the cloud immediately. It's nothing else needs to be done. And then, since we already touched this topic, I will just show you some of the agents that are running on my staging environment that we use for some testing. We can go into settings for the account. There you will see all the agents that are currently deployed to the cloud. You will see their status. You will see how to access them via API, and you can manage them basically in any way you like. So it's very, very easy and very convenient to start using these agents in production. And not just that, but again, since we are on the topic, there is a tab that's called monitoring. There is a dashboard that shows you how many agents you have, some statistics on the cost, on the tokens, and on all the different agents, how many times you ran them, how much it costs you, etc. So if you're building something for the company, that will come very handy to do the management job. And then there is also a list of agent executions where you can actually see in detail every run of every agent that you have done, with the statuses, if there are any errors, how much it costs again, etc., etc. So very handy in fine-tuning and building your agents. Right. So this is the basic agent, as I mentioned. So let's make it a little bit more interesting. But before we do, I need to make also a couple of comments about how to work with LLMs. And this is a very advanced and deep topic, and it's impossible to cover in any kind of demo presentation. And that is one of the reasons why we are creating that university. And we are very much encourage you to subscribe to everything that Integrail has, like YouTube channels, etc., because we will be issuing lots and lots of videos that go in depth into very important topics that allow you to build agents specifically. But just sort of to touch upon them, to give you direction where to look, there are a couple of things that are absolutely must to create good agents that are able to perform well. So first thing is improving reasoning. Again, if you played with ChatGPT per se or some other chatbots such as Claude or products from Google, etc., you may have seen that they're not very good at math, for instance, or at reasoning in general. But there are some techniques that allow you to make them much better at that. Chain of thought, where you ask LLM to actually produce a step-by-step description of how it is thinking about solving a certain solution. Critique, that makes you connect different LLMs together, and one LLM provides the result using chain of thought, another LLM critiques what this one has created, then the third one uses the output from all of them and makes sure there is a much better result. And again, surprisingly, these techniques make them much more accurate and much more performant in terms of how you can solve real-world tasks. Then there is more advanced stuff such as planning and tree of thought, where you can do hierarchical thinking, again, by connecting different LLMs together. Collaborative decision making, where you make them to vote on a certain outcome, etc., etc. Again, there is lots of stuff you can experiment with. And previously, if you don't have such a visual tool, it just takes you too much time to create things like that. Here, using Integrail, it's very easy. So for instance, to show you the typical critique agent, it's this one. Right, so it's exactly that. We use it into a live solution that allows people to create marketing strategies. It generates the SWOT analysis, then critique with the system prompt that describes what needs to be done, takes this SWOT analysis, makes a detailed critique, and then final generator takes the output both from this one and from the critique and creates final result. Once again, you can experiment with all kinds of different setups here very fast by just connecting different boxes. And this is also very exciting for us because we are in the very beginning. There are no, set recipes of how to do things. We are experimenting ourselves. We will be sharing the results of our experiments, but we invite you to experiment as well, because we are sure that when community works together, we can come up with all kinds of crazy setups that using today's technology, we are able to achieve some amazing results.
Anton, just a quick question. I see in the chat somebody asked, can they use their own OpenAI API key, I guess, subscription? I assume the answer is yes, and you're by default using a key in the background, but they can specify their own if they want, right?
Right. Yes. So again, since we addressed this, let's see what I'm showing. Yeah, I'm showing this. Here in the Agent Studio, we have external integrations tab. Here you can go and you can connect different accounts from Google, from Microsoft, from OpenAI, etc., Anthropic. So you can use your keys, and then if you would like to. Actually, it does not increase the cost at all because we do not do any markup on the tokens of external models. But if you have a high load agents, we would encourage you to use your own keys because there are rate limiting concerns, etc. All right. So yeah, 2 points, as I mentioned. First is improving reasoning. And again, we will be spending lots of time in our university going in depth on how to design brains of different agents. And we will have quick discussions today in whatever time has been left. Another very important point is RAG, which you have probably heard. It's retrieval augmented generation, and it's all the hype in the AI community lately. Why it's important and what is it? So what is an LLM in general? LLM is basically what the initial paper calls them. It's a transformer. You give it some characters as input, and then using some probabilities, it provides certain output of characters. Hence, the issues which people call hallucinations. If you ask it a question that it does not know the answer to, it will still provide an answer. Many times it will sound very convincing, and that's actually the trap that lots of ChatGPT users have stepped into. They're asking it some question, it provides an answer, it will sound very convincing, but you have no guarantee whatsoever that it will be correct. That's where RAG comes into play. And the way it works is that when a user inputs something, we go to a certain database. Normally, we use vector databases because they're very performant and they can allow you to search based on meaning, not just on keywords. And then you take certain information that is relevant to whatever the user is asking, and you give to the network as part of the context. And then it will provide an accurate result because the context has much higher weight for the network than whatever is inside. And this way, it's the best way to make sure that is accurate and relevant to you answers. And this is the primary way to feed it new information without retraining. This is the primary way for it to use your tone of voice instead of some generic tone of voice. If you wanted, for instance, to write blog posts or articles, etc., etc. And of course, as mentioned, we have it out of box at Integrail. Let's have a quick look. So it's the third tab that's called memory management. We will be changing interface. It's currently work in progress. As mentioned, release early, release often. The way to create the memory set, you just press create memory set button. You choose an embedder. Embedder influences the size of vectors and the size of the text that you can convert. Again, it's an advanced topic, not going to go there within the demo, but we encourage you to go to the university where we will discuss all of it in detail. But the default setting is quite okay for your experiments. So once you have created the memory set, You can choose it here. Then you can feed different memory items here by just copying the text or by importing documents. Again, this will be available very soon in production as well. But basically, this allows you to build your own customized knowledge representation that is relevant for you personally or for your company per se. And then let's just see what memory, what RAG does for us. So as we have just created this simple agent that uses the latest ChatGPT, we can ask it questions such as, who is Anton Antic? And we will get this standard answer. I have no idea who is Anton Antic, which is quite explainable. So how do we remedy that? Because if we're building, for instance, the customer support bot or something similar, we want the bot to use our information. That's where the RAG comes into play. So we don't have that much time, so I'm not going to be building it live. I'll just show it to you. But basically, it's the same way that we used to build our simple agent. You just add another node that's called vector search. It has its own settings. You can pick a memory store that we need. Here, I picked the memory store Integrail that contains some information about Integrail and about myself, just for demo purposes. Then you can put minimal relevancy score. You can play with the settings to make sure it provides the information you need. And then you connect embedded description into system prompt. And then it all comes down to writing some simple system prompt instructions. Here we're just saying, please use the following context when responding to the user, but only if it is relevant. And it performs quite well. So let's test it. Let's go to chat with agents. We can take this agent again. As you can see, I've been trying quite a bit. So let's ask the same question with Anton Antic. So as you can see, it provides a quite accurate answer that is based on the information that's been stored in this vector search. No more hallucinations. And that's the primary way for you. It's very basic, it's very simple, but it's the primary way for you to build very, very powerful systems. I will talk about how in a bit, but I just wanted to show you also how it looks like in the agent running demo so that it's easier for you to do experiments. So let's just run it again. Here the question is, what is Integrail AI? It should also find something. So let's run it. And then you can see the results of running each node inside the node as well. So we have the results here, output, 3 items. We can see that it has found the relevant results that describe the Integrail. Here, it's actually another very interesting point. So what I put here, I did not write it by hand. I just created another agent that reads Integrail website, converts it into Markdown, and then put it directly into vector memory. It's not very readable by humans, but LLMs are able to extract information from it very, very well. And the result, it gives us the correct description about Integrail AI with all the details, all the features, etc., etc. But we will have some other examples on how to use that in the remaining time as well. All right, so yeah, another sort of step back, and why it is important, because it's strategic way to build the AI that works for you, that really knows you, that knows your company, that knows you personally. And the way to do it is the 2 things. First, you need to build a team of agents, and that's where the designer comes in, because you can build specialized agents that do whatever the task you need them to do. But it's all quite useless without your custom vector memory. And this is something that we also allow to build very easily, because you can have different memory sets. One, for instance, with your corporate proprietary knowledge. Any company or corporation has lots of lingo, has lots of abbreviations, has lots of style or proprietary documents or PDFs and white papers. All of this can be converted into vector memory and stored, and your team of agents that you created will be using this shared knowledge working together. So when different agents working together use the same information base, the same vector memory, they perform very, very well. They perform to your standards. You can put your personal interests. For instance, my sort of personal kind of dream, which is not really a dream because I'm going to be building it now that we are more or less finished with the basic platform. I am switching more to experimenting with agents. I want to have an agent that knows me. As I'm browsing websites daily, I come up with news on AI or news on physics, for instance, which is kind of my hobby still. So what I want to do, I want to put all those open tabs or bookmarks that I make and never then return to, and I'm sure that that's what we do, all of us. We browse the web, we make a bookmark, I will read it later. Then we never come back to it, we never read it. This way, I put all of it into the vector memory of my personal agent team. Then I can talk to them. I can ask them, okay, what are the latest development in AI? They give me the summary. I say, okay, this is interesting, let's dig deeper. They get a certain PDF and they discuss this PDF with me, or I can read it, etc., etc. So this way, I can have customized data set, both on my company and on myself personally, and I have a bunch of agents that are able to work with this data and improve this data. And this way, it becomes not some faceless corporation AI that is built with the only purpose to make money on me, but it's an AI that I built for myself or I built for my company. And it works in my interests, it works in the interests of my company. I can be 100% sure of it. This is the strategic way to go. Okay, what is this? Yeah, so this is a really quick example of another agent that sort of uses this approach. Again, it's very simplified, but what it does is it uses vector memory to use whatever information we have in our corporate database. And then we have a bunch of different LLMs that one writes a LinkedIn post based on whatever I ask it for, and also based on the information we have in the database. Another writes an Instagram post based on that LinkedIn post. Then another one converts the LinkedIn post into a prompt for an image generation box. And finally, basically, as a result, we have a LinkedIn post, an Instagram post, and an image to illustrate it. So let's just, again, test it real quick, how it works. Been doing some tests here. So again, it has information on Integrail AI, so it will be using it when doing this post generation. And the beauty of it is that I don't need to write much. I just can say something. I need a post on a bunch of AI agents that automate the work of sales development representative using Integrail AI. So normally, if I ask ChatGPT to write something like that, it will not provide any good input because it has no idea what Integrail AI is. This one does. So it writes a certain post for LinkedIn with hashtags. And of course, again, it's very basic, but I could give it some examples of what tone of voice to use, and then it will be using that style when writing those posts. Then there is a much shorter, concise post for Integrail, and there is some image that you may want to use as as images that people use when they do like blog articles and stuff. But again, it's a very simplified example just to show how combining the RAG together with multi LLMs can automate quite complex business processes. Because normally it would take you at least, I don't know, 2 hours to write it, to edit it, to go to Instagram, to find a good image on the web, etc., etc. And of course, the beauty of it is that it can be not just produced here, but using those external integrations, you can post them directly to Instagram, to LinkedIn, and this way you save more time. So that's the example of a simple multi-agent using vector memory. So, all right, yeah, to summarize this introductory session, RAG is key. Please use our university to really go in depth into how to build different tools. But the point is, let's build teams of agents together with customized data sets using vector memory that are able to solve our problems. So now let's try quickly going through demos that are building more and more sophisticated agents. So this is the classification of agents that is sort of standard in the AI industry. Reflex agent is a simple agent that simply reacts to your input, but it has no state. Then there are state agents that retain some memory between the interactions with the user that opens up lots of additional possibilities. And then there is ultimate in AI, which is learning agents. So agents that are able to learn new skills or to learn new information. So without spending too much time here, let's move to simple reflex agents. And let's see how we can do them using Integrail. So once again, to save time now, we will not be actually building them. We will use the pre-built versions. So this one is called a simple web search. This is actually another way to provide RAG. So you can provide RAG using vector memory, or you can provide RAG using web search. Doesn't really matter. It's just vector memory can be much more precise and more customized to whatever you wanted to achieve. But Google search is quite possible as well. So the way to do it is there is a separate node that's called Google search. It's available from the list of nodes here in the end. You can just drag it from here. We do a little trick here, which is quite important, and you will be using this trick quite often when building your agents. So when user inputs something, that can be anything. That can be 27 paragraphs of text. So if you connect directly this 27 paragraphs of text as a search query, it will not find you anything good. So we have a helper agent here, which is another LLM that can be a very cheap and small LLM, such as Llama 7B, for instance, that takes the user prompt and converts it into a relevant Google query. And only then we feed it into our Google search box. So Google search box finds, in our case, 2 URLs, but you can find as many as you like. There's the limits you can play with. We connect this URL with agent outputs. Then we use the universal box that's called readability to actually read the contents of the URL. It can be HTML, it can be PDF, and we are supporting increasingly wide number of formats. And then we convert it to Markdown. Because once again, we could use the HTML source per se, but it eats a lot of tokens because there is lots of junk information, all this, divs, paragraphs, etc., etc. The networks don't need it. So we use our readability boxes to convert HTML to Markdown. And then we do pretty much the same trick as we showed last time when using vector RAG. We connect it to system prompt, and then we say, use the following context, but only if it's relevant. And this agent is called kind of a lazy knowledge, lazy customer support bot, because it searches the web for any question and then it provides the answer, right? So we have a question here, for instance, how do I install latest VMware software? So let's run it. So our box that formulates the search query has worked. Google search has worked. Our readability boxes have worked. And now our brain starts answering. And it gives us the answer based on the links that we gave it. It's not hallucinations. It's very reliable answer because we have actually read the links that were found by the Google search box. And these are docsvmware.com and another one knowledge.com, which owns VMware. So once again, building this agent takes you like 5 minutes, and you're able to connect it with RAG using web. So there is another very interesting trick if there are corporate customers here for a very popular use case, which is customer support, as I mentioned. And this trick is as follows. What happens if you want to create a really production customer support bot? You can use Google search or you can use vector search, but normally what you do is you find lots of relevant articles, 15 to 20, to be able to find the answer. So what people usually do, they build it like I build it here. So they have not 2 boxes, but they have 15 boxes here. We read all the 15 articles, we connect them, we give them to an LLM, and we rely on LLM to do a very difficult job of analyzing 20 long articles and try to find the correct answer there, and then give an actual URL to the article which contains the answer, because not all of them will contain it. And this is very counterproductive. First, you need a very smart LLM to be able to do that. They're not there yet. But again, using Integrail, you can build a different architecture that allows you to achieve the same goal, but much cheaper. So I have it here as well. Let me find it. Questionnaire.
Anton, just a quick question. And sorry if I missed this. There is a good question in the chat. Do you provide any hints which model to use in a specific case? Just like you told that we can use Llama to create a search query. I think did you mention the benchmarks part?
Yeah, we'll take a look at the benchmark tool that can help with that. But in general, it's a bigger discussion which I will touch upon in the end. So this is this alternative architecture that allows you to save money and provide much more exact answers. So the way to do it, you do the same RAG. It can be Google search or it can be vector search, doesn't matter. You find 15 articles if you want. So currently it's 3, but you can find 15. You attach a small, cheap llama to each of these articles. Just, yeah, you will have 15 simple llamas, but they're cheap and they are able to find the answer in a single article very well. And then you have a smarter LLM, which can be Claude or it can be ChatGPT, whatever, that combines the answers from all these 15 and it gives the exact response to the user. Because also the instructions we give to these guys is that you only provide the actual response if you find an answer. If you don't, you respond with no answer. They're very good in following these instructions. So this way, your expensive LLM will not have to deal with all this, 1 million symbols from 15 different articles. It will have no answer, no answer, no answer, answer, no answer, no answer. That's it. And this architecture is much more efficient, and you can experiment with different approaches. This is just something we sort of came up with and tried, and it works quite well for instance, for customer support case. All right, so let's move further. Yeah, let's have a quick demo on how to integrate with external systems. We have a quick demo that does email answering, also using vector RAG. Here it is, email responder. So once again, it's all built from the nodes that we have. There is a node that allows you to read a Gmail inbox. You have to integrate with it first via external integrations, which I showed previously. So you have a read email box. We have vector search that finds relevant information. We have the brains that actually write the answer using the RAG and using the email that came in. But then we also have a node that creates draft email right in my inbox. So for this agent, I don't even need to chat with it. It's just, it works exactly inside Gmail. And this is just an example of how you can build agents, which of course will be much more sophisticated, that can work inside your internal systems, CRM systems, CMS systems, whatever you want. But they don't even interact with the user. They work in a closed cycle. So let's see this demo. I have the demo box here. I have sent an email here saying, hi, I'm interested to test the Integrail platform. We need to build a customer support bot. Can you help? So let's see what happens if we run this agent. Let's run it. So we read the email, we found the relevant information in our vector search, the brains writes the answer. We will be able to test it here in agent outputs as usual, but as mentioned, let's wait until the draft creation box works. It worked. So it should now appear in drafts. Let's refresh it. There, you see, the draft email has appeared. Let's go. And here is a very nicely written email that knows everything about Integrail. It does some highlights. I wouldn't write an email better than this, I have to tell you. And it even offers our marketing offer that we currently have on the website. Sign up now and get 3 months free and 100 credits. So basically, again, combining RAG with the ability to integrate with external systems, you can build some really amazing stuff very quickly using the current level of technologies. This is a very simple example. Of course, you can make it as complicated as you like by using different systems, by using more complex workflows, etc., etc. All right. Yeah, so that is the reflex agents, the agents that simply react to whatever input you give them. Now let's move to much more interesting stuff, the agents that can retain memory or can retain state between interacting with the users. Okay, so on our diagram, what we're doing here, we are adding short-term memory and the ability to update short-term memory. Long-term memory is basically RAG. We are using it, but we are not updating it at this stage. We are only working with short-term memory. And let's see what it allows us to do. So first of all, a very important point, which you will probably use as the basic chat-based agent for all of your agents, is the agent that uses the chat history. So where is it? Yeah, it's right here. So the only difference with the simple agent that we have created previously is we have to use here not the LLM simple box, but LLM chat box. And then once we use LLM chat box, we also have to use the node called chat history, and then we connect it. We connect user prompt to chat history. We connect messages to messages in the LLM chat box, and then system prompts working as usual. So currently it just takes additional information from the vector search. So just to illustrate what it gives you, we can go to our simple agent that we have created, and we can do something like who is Ernest Hemingway. It will give us some answer because it's a widely known person. It's not myself. But then if we ask it, what is his best book, because we assume it's a context, this agent, which is a reflex agent, will not give us any answer because it doesn't know of our conversation history. It says to provide a helpful answer, I need to know which author individually referring to. Does not mean that reflex agents are useless. They are very useful in transactional scenarios that we have just looked at, for instance, with email. But if you want to have a conversation, it's not very useful. So that's where this chat history comes helpful. We can switch to this agent and see how it will perform. So, okay, this is our agent. Let's ask the same question. Who is Hemingway? Again, gives us some answer, and then we ask the same question. What is his best book? All right. Okay, as you can see, it knows the context. So again, we connected some additional nodes. Now we have an agent that can work with chat. But this is kind of very basic. And also this agent uses not just chat history, but also uses RAG. So if we ask it something like, what is Integrail AI, it will also give us an answer because it has RAG. So as you can see, it gives us this answer. So this is your sort of starting point when you are designing chat-based agents. Again, yeah, right here. So you have chat LLM, you have chat history, you have vector search. That's it. It already provides quite a lot of value and power. Of course, you can put like text to speech here as well, and just in general improve it any way you like. You can add Google search here, etc., etc. So this is just a nice starting point with chat history. But now let's move to a more interesting example that is called Questionnaire Builder. So imagine you need to onboard the customer. Like banks have this problem always, right? Or some other companies. And usually you have to fill in a certain questionnaire. And of course, you can just ask them directly, or you can have a sort of support chat that allows you to do that. And the way to build it, you cannot build it on ChatGPT, because if you keep the information just in chat history, it will disappear eventually. Chat history is limited. So what we need to keep some sort of short-term memory that is updated after every iteration, and it contains just the information we need. So I have such an agent right here. Again, it's a very sort of simple example, but the way it works, let me go into it because it's an important concept for us to understand. I am saying that I want this chatbot to find out the answer to 4 questions: user's name, user's date of birth, etc. I give some instructions on how to do that, and then when it has all the information, it has to give me certain response. And then I also say, if a user says status, you have to give the current status of what you know. And then I feed this short-term memory, the current status, as part of the system prompt. Here it is. It's a node that's called read session. So you give a session a name, and then whatever you record into this session, it will be read by this node. Then I have another agent that's called sensor that summarizes every interaction, and it updates this memory. So you see what is happening. The user gives an answer. One agent analyzes this answer and the history, and it updates the memory only with the information I need. So this way, I don't need to analyze the history of 100 conversations, because it, again, eats tokens, it costs me money, but I'm only focused on the 4 questions that I want to find out. And that's actually the only way to build it. It's already impossible with tools like ChatGPT. So let's test it real quick. Sometimes it tries to be too polite, but let's try it. Hi. Usually it takes a couple of interactions to start asking the actual questions, but it's because we gave it very simple instructions, we can give them more sophisticated, and it will like the way we want. But as you can see, already on the second question, it starts asking me the questions that it needs to find out. And I can try to be difficult here and kind of say, why do you want to know? It will try to find out in any way it can, because that's the instructions I gave. But in the interest of saving time, let me just give the answers directly. I play guitar. How long? So it keeps a visibility of conversation, whatever, 10 years. So yeah, as you can see, it kind of keeps up the conversation. I don't play the interest, but speaking of which, where are you from? So again, it tries to find out the answers to those questions that I have. I can say, I'm from Serbia. And then it asks, was I born there? Because the question is not where I'm from, but where I was born. So it tries to be specific, but let's check also our other instructions, status, okay? Let's see, yeah, it gives us the status in exactly those 4 questions. So as I mentioned, you don't need to burn tokens. It's the short-term memory. It's all that we have in this short-term memory. Username is unknown, date of birth is unknown, place of birth Serbia, hobby playing guitar. So I can continue. Yes, there. Let's just quickly get to the end. What's your name? Anton. when is your birthday? That's it. It has fulfilled its goal, and it says, ha ha ha, here is everything, exactly the instruction. So once again, this is actually a very amazing thing, because we just created a goal-based agent. We gave it a goal, find the answers to these 4 questions. When you achieve the goal, respond in a certain way or behave in a certain way. And as you can see, by using this short-term memory update, first, we made it cheap, we made it efficient, and there is actually no other way to make it. But this is just one simple scenario of this questionnaires, but you can build much more interesting stuff using it. For instance, there is a full murder mystery game agent that we have created. It uses the same approach. Or we will see a strategic marketing agent that uses the same approach with some additional sophistications on top. But basically, keeping the session, keep updating this memory state between interactions is going to be your key tool of creating advanced agents for any goal. Okay, so we are starting to be a bit short in time. Let me just move quicker. So let's move to the last part, which is learning agents. This is the most interesting things where we experiment ourselves a lot, and hope you will experiment with us as well. And these are the learning agents. So what the learning agents do, they can update long-term memory. This is one way to learn. And that's exactly how humans learn. We can learn new information and we update our memory by doing that, or we can expand our skills. Now, I can learn to play, I don't know, harmonica or something. That's going to be a new skill. The same with agents. We can create new specialized agents that serve as skills, and we can also update long-term memory. And these are the 2 ways for the agents to learn. And this is something very, very exciting. This is cutting edge of AI. This is actually what OpenAI and others are trying to do as well, just by using a bit different approaches. So let me show you what you can do here with Integrail. So first of all, there's another important toolbox for you to create good advanced agents, which is called branching. So branching allows you to understand the user's intent. So you want a node to analyze what does the user want, and then depending on that intent, you do different actions. All of our agents so far, they were able to do just one action. This agent will actually choose what action to take. So this is a very, again, simplified, contrived example. It can either draw a picture or respond directly if a user doesn't want us to draw a picture. So there is a question, what does a Martian octopus look like? So we would assume that it should draw a question for an answer, draw a Martian octopus based on a question like that. So let's run it. So as you can see, the top branch has been canceled, and indeed the image generating is working. So let's see, what does the Martian octopus look like? Here it is. But then if we write something like hi, which does not require it to draw a picture, we will see that the top has worked and the bottom hasn't. And what we see is the typical answer, hello, how can I assist you today? So this gives you immense power in creating agents, because you can create as many comments as you want. Currently, it requires a bit of the manual work in defining the JSON format, but we will automate it very soon, hopefully in the next update. But even now, you can start using it. So you just add different comments, you describe when a certain comment should be called, and then you attach different branches by doing that. And that's just the first step, because what you can also do, you can have agents called as part of your agent. So we have a special node that is called My Agents here. We will probably rename it. But if you put it here into your agent, you can choose any of the existing agents that you have so far created, and it will be called as part of your agent. So this way you can create hierarchical agents. You can have agents that make planning, that do some interactions with the user, they understand user intent, then they do some problem solving, some planning, and then they choose which agents to call to actually execute your action. This is something, also very cutting edge, release early, release often. We are just starting to experiment with it ourselves, but this functionality is there, and we are sure that it's possible to create some pretty crazy stuff using that. So this is the way with which you can detect intent and then run different actions based on what the user wants you to do. So here we have sort of a final demo that combines most of this stuff that we have discussed so far. That's called strategic marketing. And the way it works, it has both branching, and then it has sort of normal operation using this short-term memory session approach. So the way it works, it can read any website, convert it into a list of features, and then we can work with it by improving this list of features or target segments, etc., etc. And again, this is kind of a simplified example, but it allows you within one agent to work on multiple marketing strategies. So let me just show how it looks like. Was it the one? I think it was the one. Yeah. So we can say something like initialize new session with HTTPS Integrail.ai. So it is supposed now to read the Integrail website and create the initial marketing strategy document with which we can start working. So as you can see, it has analyzed the Integrail AI website, and it has created the list of features for the product, potential market segments, and proposed business value messages. So that is the first branch that we have created. It initializes the session. Now we can use the same approaches we did with Questionnaire and just work collaboratively with this agent to update whatever we want here. For instance, we can say add automatic agent generation to the features. It will update this session or short-term memory where we keep only this document once again. This way saving the tokens and increasing performance. So as you can see, it has added automatic agent generations, but basically we can work with this document any way we like. We can expand certain sections into the whole paragraphs. We can create Google ads, maximum 2 based on this for the enterprise companies. It will use what we currently have here again in short-term memory to create those Google ads. We can then adjust those Google ads, etc. So this is kind of a very basic starting point, but we actually are using this agent internally, and we will be improving it more and more. But it just shows you how to combine different functionalities of Integrail to be able to create something advanced that is also able to detect intent and do different things based on what you want it to do. So we don't have that much time left, so let me just say it really quick, but I'm not going to be doing that. So the way to build an ultimate learning agent based on the example that we just had. Where is it again? Post strategic marketing. Yeah, here it is. So what we can do here, we are updating only short-term memory by updating the session. But in the same way, we can add another comment here using our branching node. We can add the comment that says update memory. Then, and again, I'm not going to be doing it now, but we will create a description for this company, for this comment. And then what we can do, we can say not save to session, but save to vector memory. And we will connect this update memory with save to vector memory. And then we can provide instructions, something like if the user wants you to update your memory, summarize the conversation and follow user instructions and create the summary and give it here. And this way we will create a fully learning object agent. where the user will say, okay, we had a nice conversation, update your memory using this and this information, and it will update it automatically. So this way, this agent will truly be learning in terms of updating its own vector memory. So, but again, as I mentioned, release early, release often, we are very excited ourselves. We'll be doing lots of experiments ourselves. We'll be sharing them with you. We'll be building lots of agents and making updates, but just trying to show you what's possible and what you can do by using the platform now. Yeah, really quick, 2 minutes about the deployment and the benchmarking tool, which Alex already mentioned. So deploy, we discussed, you just press a button and you can use it in production, but benchmarking tool is actually a very important thing. So what it allows you to do, it allows you to compare different base LLMs and agents side by side to understand which one performs well according to what you want them to do. But this is kind of a quick and dirty tool to compare. But the benchmarks allow you to create actual questionnaires where there are questions and then answers with some guidelines on how to rate those answers. And what does it give you? It gives you, let me just switch to an existing result really quick. It gives you a summary like this, where you have all the different base LLMs or the agents you have created, and they are graded based on accuracy, based on cost efficiency, and then the bubble size is the time they took to answer all the questions. And then you can go, you can see some summary info in the table, and you can see all the answers that were given, and our grading agent, what scores it gave, and explanation why it gave such a score. Why is it important? It's absolutely key because usually the new LLM models are tested on things like GMAT test or lawyer bar test, but it is absolutely relevant for your specific corporate business case. We have been discussing RAG and vector memory through the whole of this presentation. You want your agents to give the answers that are relevant to you, to your knowledge base that you have built. And testing them on GMAT gives you zero useful information. But here, you can create a questionnaire that has typical questions from your customers, for instance, with the correct answer and how to grade them. And then you can test your agents and see, okay, it gives good answers or bad answers, and how do we work with improving the quality. Another case where it's very interesting and useful is, for instance, OpenAI has announced that it will retire GPT 3.5, which means if you had agents using GPT 3.5, what do? You upgrade it to GPT-4 and then hope and pray that it will keep all the formats or all the reasoning, etc., etc. It may work, it may not work. So here you can simply test and you can see what's performing, what's not performing. So it's a tool that becomes an integral part of the workflow of developing, especially corporate grade agents. Okay, short-term roadmap, because once again, we will be doing lots of improvements pretty much daily. Once again, please join the Discord channel, as I mentioned, because that's where all the conversations are happening. We will be expanding standard external integrations quite a bit. And working on the fully automatic external API integration node. Now it's kind of semi-manual. You can still integrate with any external API, but it requires some manual work. Soon it will be fully automatic. We are working on a very exciting node that we call execute code. As I mentioned, software engineering is one of the very interesting use cases for this, especially again, if you use vector RAG, you can put your code into vector memory and then it will write code using your existing code base, and that gives much better results. But not just that, with this execute code node, whatever code the LLM generates, you'll be able to execute or compile first if there is a compiler in your tool chain, and then if there are errors, you can feed them back through session and improve the code. So this way you can create automatic programmers for any task pretty much. We are very excited about this one coming up soon. So in addition to vector RAG, we will be adding also graph RAG. Another exciting stuff, there are several papers that show that when you combine VectorEgg with graph knowledge database that represents some logical knowledge better than just text, it gives even better results. So we are working on this. And then a very quick addition, which a lot of people have asked us for, we will have a scheduler node that allows you to run agents on schedule. For instance, agents that, I don't know, check email or have to interact with you or have to read the news website every day and then give you the summary of those news, etc. Will be very handy. And in terms of long term, we are doing lots of experimenting and lots of in-depth research on automatic learning and automatic agent generation. That's, of course, kind of a holy grail of AI. Now you have to move the boxes yourself and have full control. But of course, it is quite possible, especially for simple cases, to generate those agents automatically. This is something we are working on very much in depth, and this is something that is hopefully coming more like in the midterm, but this is a very important topic for us as well. So yeah, these are the three key points. They kind of summarize the long-term vision actually as well. But basically, our biggest long-term vision is we eventually want to be able to create autonomous goal-driven agents. We have seen very small examples of such with that questionnaire builder, for instance. But using this hierarchy of agents that I showed you, we can build something really amazing that we're hoping. So we can have an agent that does some strategic planning, then it coordinates agents that do like daily job execution, and these task agents do everyday plan, and they use the skill agents to execute actual tasks. So this kind of a three-tiered approach allows us to move close to what we call pragmatic AGI. We don't need to throw more layers. We don't need to work on base models that much. This is what OpenAI and Google and Meta are doing very well. But we're using the results of their job, combining them in some smart ways to achieve pretty much the same. That's our vision. That's our goal. All right, that's all I had for today. So as mentioned, again, we are releasing early, releasing often. Please join the studio, please join the Discord channel, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because that's going to be the primary means of us delivering new educational content. For instance, how to build specific agents for specific use cases. We'll be issuing lots and lots of those in the upcoming months. So,
thanks, Anton. And we also wanted to add that for those who sign up early and try the studio, we also have a special promo. You can get 3 months free and receive $100 in credits. And we also recommend to join our Discord channel because it's the fastest way to reach us. If you have any questions, any cases for our team to look at, feel free to chat with us there. And now we have also planned a sweet part. You probably saw it in our communications that today since we celebrate this official launch, we will be raffling a ticket to AWS reInvent today among the attendees. The conference and expo is taking place in Las Vegas, early December 2024. So if you're attending, pass by to say hi. If you're not attending or didn't plan yet, now it's your chance to join us. And today on the webinar, we have some of our partners, which we cleaned up out the list. But Hannah, are we ready to make the drawing?
Absolutely.
Yep, awesome.
Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, let's shuffle it to not get in trouble and to make it fair. And let's go. Let's see who's sponsored to Las Vegas.
All right.
Vladimir, congratulations.
All right. Yeah, congratulations. We'll reach out to you by email after the event, but congrats again, and thank you again, everybody, for attending. You will get the materials, the slides and recording from us shortly. Thank you.